Good morning. Welcome to Momentum Mondays. I am super excited to welcome to the line this morning an amazing, phenomenal woman, someone who is known as a professional coach, role model, mentor, leader, national speaker, vice president of human resources in corporate America, and many others. But she says her most important titles are wife and mom. She has helped me and hundreds of women across the country become better and stronger. She is the host and the visionary of this call. Good morning, Jill Green.
Good morning, Lynette. How are you this morning?
Fired up, pumped up, and I've been dancing this morning. I'm on fire.
That's right. Well, folks, I want to say good morning, and good morning. Welcome to Momentum Mondays. I am Jill Green, the host of the call that's designed to wake you up, shake you up, and take you up to new levels in your life, your career, your business, and your dreams. We were fired up this morning listening to Friends by Houdini. And before we get started, I'd love to introduce you a few of my amazing co-hosts. First up, we have Bishop Dickie Robbins. He's the pastor of Life in Christ Cathedral Faith Ministries, the author of the brand new devotional, Wisdom of the Word, all the Wisdom of the Word, 90-Day Journey, all the way from Chester, Pennsylvania. Good morning, Bishop.
Good morning, Jill, and all of the Momentum Mondays moving and shakers. I am excited about the call this morning.
Absolutely. And we have all the way from my hometown, she is Dawn Roseland, a partner in a major law firm, a writer, a keynote speaker, author of the brand new book, Bronx Presence, Amazon's hottest seller, all the way from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Good morning, Dr. Dawn.
Hey, what's up, Jill? Good morning, Momentum Monday callers. Guess what? Y'all were created to reign. I was created to reign. We are about to do it together one more time on this call. Let's go.
Let's go. And you heard her voice this morning. She is Miss Michelle Washington, visionary of Women of War campaign, author of the brand new Women of War magazine, all the way from Newark, Delaware. Good morning, Michelle.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm intentional. I wake up like this every single day. Good morning.
Good morning. I don't have it like Michelle, but I love her energy every single Monday morning. And in absence, we're going to miss Miss Anita this morning, that she is not with us, but she'll be back with us next week. And, folks, I want to say thanks to all of you who join us this call every single Monday to make sure that your Mondays will never be the same. If you want to dialogue with us, go ahead right now and join our Momentum Monday Facebook group and make your comments, ask your questions. If you like a quote, you can hashtag it. But right now, go into the group and hashtag on the call. Right, hashtag on the call. If you missed our other amazing topics, feel free to join the group and listen to all the recordings because they are there. You know, all last month we had an amazing discussion around mental health. But this week we're talking about the power of networking. And Lynette Rogers is going to help us with that topic. Now, what I understand is your network determines your net worth. It's not about just who you know, but it's about who knows you. And your success is linked to your circle. So how do you enhance it? How do you grow it? By networking. And so Miss Lynette Rogers is the owner of Virtually Yours, the founder of Saving Our Youth, author of the #1 best-selling book, Mission Unstoppable, Les Brown and George Fraser, all the way from Detroit, Michigan. Good morning, Lynette.
Good morning to all the champions on the line. Good morning, Jill. I'm excited this morning. We're killing procrastination in 2016 because the future is now. And you know what? I'm excited about this topic because you are right. It is your net worth determines your network determines your net worth. And I am so excited to be talking about this topic because the light bulb clicked for me. And I had my aha moment. When I looked around my circle, when I looked around the people that I was connecting with, and I looked at my lifestyle, oh, my goodness, things had to change. And I am so excited that we have a special guest this morning who is going to literally shed some amazing light on this topic. I knew when we decided to have this conversation, there was one person that popped up in my mind, Tammy Turner Maddox from Detroit. I am so excited. Let me give you a little bit of information about this phenomenal woman. She is a recruiter, an author, a public speaker, and and a trainer. She has her debut book, How to Talk to Strangers, a step-by-step guide to professional networking, is a vital tool for any business professional looking to go to the next level. Now, I thought it was funny because she says your mother may have told you not to talk to strangers, but she teaches you how to talk to strangers. She also has a second book, 365 Days of Motivation, a guide to success in life and business. And it is just an encouragement for anyone looking for inspiration in their daily or personal relationships. I'm so honored to welcome to the line. I'm honored to call her my friend. Good morning, Miss Tammy Turner.
Good morning, Lynette. Good morning, everyone that's on the call, ladies and gentlemen. Such an honor to be here today. I'm pumped up. I'm over here doing the running man.
I'm telling you, one thing you will know, Michelle will have us ready to rock and roll, and I'm glad that you decided to rock and roll with us this morning. And I wanted to definitely just dive right into our subject this morning, the power of networking. And I know this is your subject. This is something that you'll be able to shed some amazing light on. And I want to start the discussion on just defining networking, really telling us what networking is and what networking is not.
Awesome. Well, first and foremost, networking is the act of building, growing, developing, and nurturing mutually beneficial business relationships. Networking, where most people make the mistake in networking is thinking that it's all about me. What can you do for me? And when you approach networking from that standpoint, you'll always come out on the losing end of it. I often coin networking the skill that schools forgot to teach. And it's so amazing to me that even though networking is the single most effective tool, bar none, used to develop your business, to progress in your business, to advance your career, that it's not being taught in schools, and that's in business schools at the minimum. So hopefully the information that we will share this evening will help get the word out about networking and how to do it and what to do and what not to do.
Awesome. You know, you said when you were defining it, it's, building mutually beneficial relationships. And I find that a lot of times, I go to networking events or I'm invited places and I'm mingling and meeting people. And I remember when I first heard the term networking, I was taught by, just someone, it's all about meeting somebody to see what you can get from them. And it felt uncomfortable. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel real. And so, I wanted to dive into, really, what are the things that you think are some of the barriers to networking? A lot of times we get invited to networking events. We'll go to mixers and things like that. But what do you think is the single most reason why a lot of people shy away from networking?
There's a couple of reasons, Lynette. Some people may view networking as kissing up or kissing, butt or whatever you want to call it. And it's not. It really is not. The other thing is really fear. There's a fear of rejection. There might be a fear of someone's title. You're talking to the president or the CEO or a partner or whatever. It really just boils down to fear. That's what I'm hearing from most people, and that was actually my experience. Years ago, when I came out of college, I didn't like networking. I actually hated it and likened it to probably having a root canal. Anything and everything that I could do to avoid that, I did. And because I was scared. I was afraid. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to walk up to a perfect stranger and start conversation. Professionally, at that point, I saw no benefit in it, and I thought to myself, what are we going to talk about? I have nothing in common with these people, so it was really fear. And it took me a while to be able to overcome that fear, and I think that's really the biggest challenge. And really, people will ask me, well, how do you overcome that fear? And it's no different than any other area in your life where you've experienced fear. You made a decision that you're going to move forward no matter what. I'll give you an example. There are people that are absolutely frightened of public speaking. And so what do? They go take a class at Toastmasters. And they continue to take classes at Toastmasters to strengthen themselves in that area. Well, the same is true in networking. You have to force yourself outside of your comfort zone, force yourself to go to that networking event. And if you feel overcome with fear and you're really nervous, find one of your friends who's an extrovert and take them with you. They will probably introduce you to every person in the room because that's what extroverts do. So, and I get the feeling there are a lot of extroverts on this call. But attach yourself to an extrovert, take them with you to a networking event, and that will help you gradually ease into it. And then give yourself a goal. Say, I'm going to walk out of this event today, and I will have made 2 new connections. Start small, 2 new connections. I will have secured 2 business cards, and then it can't stop there. You have to follow up.
Hey, Lynette.
Wow.
Hey,
Yes.
Just a question on that one because this is Dawn. And Tammy, it's you said like you used to be like that. I don't. People don't believe this, but I'm an extroverted introvert, and this is still one of the hardest things for me. And I think I was thinking about this as we were getting ready for this call, and I think it's because it's pushed on us, right? Like when we're taught how to network, quote unquote. The teaching really is laced with, well, make sure you come back and report on your ROI, your
right.
return on the investment. What did you get? So really you go in the room and you're like, hey, my name's Dawn. And then you come back, you're like, what'd you get? We're like, I met a girl named, Tammy. And you're like, well, what'd you get? And you're like, I ain't getting nothing. I just met her. It's like, so, but you started something really powerful, but it's not enough. And so I think that how do you deal with or train your people to change the conversation about what it is? Because that's the hard part, right? Because you're expected to come back with something, and the something oftentimes is defined as a lead. They're going to hire you. They're going to call you the next meeting, when in reality, at least I've found that it takes time to build relationships that turn into mutually beneficial relationships from a client standpoint or things like that.
You hit the nail on the head. Networking is about building relationships. You're not going to go to a networking event, exchange business cards with someone, and then the next day $1 million is deposited into your bank account. That's how it works. And if you approach networking from that standpoint, you're not going to get anything out of it. It's really, really important for you to take a genuine interest in the lives of the people that you're talking to. So if it's a situation where you're going in just to collect business cards to go back to work and report to your boss that you collected 4 business cards, that's nothing. There's follow-up and follow-through that has to take place after that. And what I encourage people to do is you need to follow up within 48 hours of exchanging a business card with someone. I don't care if it's at a networking event, if it's in line at the grocery store, you're at Starbucks, I don't care where you are at, even a conference. Within 48 hours, you should be reaching back out to that person to begin to develop that relationship. And one of the tricks that I use whenever I'm talking to someone, if they share anything with me that's personal, I write it on the back of their business card. For example, if I'm talking to someone and they tell me that they recently passed the CPA exam and they passed, all 4 parts on the first sitting. Well, anyone in the field of accounting knows that that's not a small challenge to pass all 4 parts of the CPA exam on the first sitting. So I will write that on the back of the business card. So when I follow up in 48 hours, not 48 days, not 48 weeks, not 48 months, in 48 hours, I'll, say to them, Michelle, it was a pleasure meeting you at X, Y, and Z event. I had a wonderful time. I met some amazing people. I'm definitely looking forward to staying in contact with you. By the way, congrats again on passing the CPA exam on all 4 parts on the first sitting. That's quite an accomplishment. Please let me know how I can be a resource to you. It's short and sweet, and you add something in that email that is personal to them, and that's how you develop a relationship.
Tammy, this is Bishop Robbins. I have a question. Would you agree that when it comes to networking, it's more about quality of relationship than quantity of relationship? In other words, sometimes we go and we are intent on getting as many cards as possible, and even in that event, we don't take full advantage of the opportunity to at least break the ice in terms of relationship. So how do you rate quality versus quantity in networking events?
It's definitely about quality. It's not about quantity. But there's two sides of that coin, and I'll elaborate in just one second. You shouldn't go to a networking event and be in the process of collecting business cards. And then you go to work the next day and you wrap them up with the rubber band around them in your top drawer with all the other business cards that you never actually called on until you need something. So that's not the purpose of networking, collecting business cards. And as I'm talking about quality versus quantity, I think that you should approach a networking event with a strategy. And what I mean by that is, let's say you only have 1 hour, and we all know that it's 60 minutes in an hour. Within 60 minutes, you should be able to have an effective and meaningful conversation with at least 6 people, maybe 7. If you're spending 35, 45 minutes talking to one person at an event, you're not maximizing your time, and you're actually monopolizing the time of the other person. If you're at a networking event, you have to assume that everyone's there to network, and you can't have someone locked up, or don't allow someone to have you locked up where you can't work the room and go out and meet new people.
You know, Tammy, that's a really good point. This is Jill, because I go to a lot of events like this, and it can be a turnoff, right? I mean, you can be there in whatever capacity, and when someone has you in a corner, and it almost comes off sometimes as even rude, because clearly people are there to network, and you want to get to other people, and you have this person, and, you know, you want to be polite, but you're like, man, this person has talked my head off. It's now, 20 minutes, it's 30 minutes, and I can't get away. And you don't want that, right? That's the opposite of what you want. But Tammy, I wanted to ask you something. We're talking about networking, folks. You're here Momentum Monday. We have the amazing Tammy Turner Maddox, who is the author of How to Talk to Strangers, and she's dropping some serious nuggets on networking, and we know that this is where it's at. We're talking about networking events. But what is a networking event? Is it just an event that says networking event, Tammy, or can you truly network wherever you are?
You can absolutely network wherever you are. You could be at the gym. You could be in line at the grocery store. You could be at the gas station. You could be at a concert. You could be at a conference. I don't care where you are. And there's other people there that you don't know. That's an opportunity to network, no matter where you are. But I can tell you what networking is not. It is not speed dating. We got some folks that will go to networking events, and they're there to collect business cards, to call people to try to hook up or date or whatever afterwards. If you want to do that, go to a speed dating event, not a networking event.
That's good stuff. I wanted to also just chime in. And, Tammy, one of the things you said, too, when you were sharing about, when you're networking, working the room for the most part, a lot of times, like I just had a discussion with someone, and they went to a networking event. They were excited. They met tons of people, worked the room, but they were really focused on what they were going to get from the other people. They had a strategy. They wanted to build their business and try to recruit people to be coached into their business. But in your chapter, it's not about you to be a resource. I would love for you to talk more about how when you shift and realize that, you have something and you can offer to another person, that's really how the relationship begins. When you said in your follow-up email, how can I be a resource for you? I thought that was so powerful because a lot of times people aren't expecting that. They really aren't expecting when you follow up. So I just wanted to know if you could just share a little bit more on that point.
Sure. I think it's really important for an individual to take a genuine interest in the lives of other people. And you get more out of networking when you do that. If you approach networking from the standpoint of being tuned into WIIFM, what's in it for me, you're not going to gain anything. And people will see that a mile away, and it will turn them off. But here's what I realized over the course of the years and being in a sales role is that people do business with people they like. And that's not something I made up. That's just the truth. And when you take a genuine interest in the lives of others and you ask them questions, they like you more. People like you more the more you allow them to talk about themselves. So ask them questions. Get them to open up. And it makes them more comfortable. They become more relaxed. You're actually leading the conversation, so you're more relaxed. And that's what helps build the relationship. Like I said, people do business with people they like. So when you take a genuine interest in the lives of others, that's the basis of building the relationship.
Hey, Tammy, I have a question for you. This is Jill. So earlier, Lynette asked you what were some of the barriers to do exactly what you're talking about, networking. And you said fear, which I had that written down in my notes. Fear is one reason why people don't network or feel like they can't. So let's play this out, right? You're at a network event, you have your name tag on, you're armed with your business card, you walk in a room, you are terrified, and people are already coupled up. Usually at network events, people are already in their circles or in groups of 2, 3, or 4, or 5 having discussions. Tammy, how, like Dawn said, it's not that her favorite thing to do, and I still get butterflies when I have to do it. How do you interrupt a circle that's already formed to network? Because most people aren't standing around by themselves, right? I mean, they're already in motion. What do you say and how do you do that?
I absolutely love when I see crowds and groups. I'm like, oh, there's my opportunity. I target those folks. I will walk up to you in a heartbeat and say, hey, you know what? You guys look like you are having way too much fun over here. I had to come over and introduce myself. Hi, my name is Tammy. Short and sweet. And it's just that simple. And no one feels angry. They're not like, eyes rolling, neck rolling, like, what in the world? They are like, oh, number one, I complimented you. You guys look like you're having way too much fun over here. You look like a good group. I had to come over and introduce myself. So I started out with a compliment, and that was how I interjected myself. And then I say, my name is Tammy. I'm a recruiter. This is my first time at X, Y, and Z event. This is what I do. Tell me a little bit about yourself. That's it. Short and sweet.
This is Dawn. That's really, really good. I'm going to have to figure that out because that is the hardest thing in the world for me. I cannot tell you how many trips I make to the bathroom just to work up courage. Just said. I mean, I'm being real. I'm sorry, and I've been doing this for a long, long time. It's still the hardest thing. And like when you talk about like someone monopolizing your time, like at a networking event, what I find is funny is that where Jill says, someone's talking to you for 20 minutes. I thank God for those people who talk to me for 20 minutes because that means I don't have to do it again and go, hey, my name is Dawn. So, yeah, I'm soaking this up because this is really, really a difficult thing. And like I said, I'm an extroverted introvert. So I think you do recommend, Tammy, like taking a person because I don't know what the fear is. It's just the most uncomfortable thing in the world for me. So do you recommend taking a person?
I do recommend taking a person, but not using that person as a crutch, where you use them. You talk to them the whole night, and you talk to them the whole night so you can say that you were there and people saw you. That's not the reason why you want to take them. You want them to help you interject yourself into a conversation or help you meet new people. And you can watch their technique. You can watch how the ease in which they do that, and then you learn from them. And you do that enough times where you'll build up enough courage that you'll feel comfortable enough to do it on your own. We all know that practice makes permanent, right? So it takes practice. And if you're not comfortable doing it out the gate, take someone with you that is. And I think one of the things that I hear more often than not is I just don't know what to say. Like, how do you just open up a conversation with a stranger? And I gave you guys an example of what I would do in a situation where I walk into a room and I see a cluster of people talking to each other and how I would interject. But let's just say, you see a person that's just like you. They're probably a little nervous, a little scared, and they're standing off in the corner too and afraid. Walk up to that person. And what you can do is really find that common thread, that common bond, and start with something simple like the event that you're attending at the same time. You're occupying the same space. If you're at the Marriott Hotel, the downtown Renaissance, is this your first time at the Renaissance? This is a nice hotel. I've never been here before. Or is this your first time, at a Momentum Monday conference? Who invited you out? Those are things that you automatically know that you have in common. So you can start there. The other thing is current events, sports, compliments. All of those things are good ways to initiate conversation. If you see a lady across the room and she has on a bad pair of shoes, walk up to her. You know what? I saw you across the room, and I had to come over and tell you those shoes are fire. Where did you get those from? Oh, my gosh, you are wearing those. And you've opened up dialogue. So the one thing that I would caution you to stay away from is religion and politics in any kind of networking setting. You don't know the beliefs of the other person, and you'll run the risk of damaging a relationship before you ever have a chance to build it.
Hey, Tammy, this is Michelle. It is something that I was in at Bank of America. It was called Lead for Women, and we used to have some of the top executive women there during our network event. And what I found out that oftentimes the executives were kind of nervous themselves. And what I had to do was take their titles away from them and just approach them as a woman. We did have some men there, but if I just approached it as they're just like me, they just working in a particular title at that moment, it was kind of easier to start a conversation with them. And what I did was took it from that personal standpoint first and then begin to talk about the things that I could take away from a professional level. So sometimes it helps just to remove the titles and just see the person and start the conversation.
You are absolutely correct. My first job out of college, I experienced that. I was afraid to talk to partners, to the senior managers, and I finally had to get to a place where I said they put on their pants one leg at a time just like I do, and they're just people. So you strip away the title and you look at them as a person just like you, and then you develop a conversation from there. So you are absolutely correct. And sometimes that's the thing that paralyzes us. It could be fear of rejection. What if I don't say the right things? What if I'm not articulate? I'm talking to the partner. I'm talking to the CFO or CEO, and it makes you nervous. But, again, take away those titles and just look at them as a person.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Before we bring you back in, Jill, I just wanted to say we are almost at the 8 o'clock hour where we're going to transition into our after call. So after Jill, you chime in, I'm going to unmute the line so that listeners can dive in the conversation as well. I'm just so excited about the conversation. So go ahead, Jill, with your question, and then we'll transition to our after call.
Thank you, Lynette. And Lynette, thank you for allowing us to have this discussion with Tammy today. This is so fascinating. So, Tammy, you talked a little bit about how to break into a group once you're at the networking event. You talked about complimenting people or finding common ground, which is really awesome, which helps you get into the conversation. So now the conversation is over. You've had your goal. You met 3 people. Let's say that was your bold goal, to meet 3 people. No, to have 3 quality conversations. As you said, we need to have a goal and a strategy. So let's say you met the goal to have 3 quality conversations. Let's talk about the follow-up, because I'll be honest with you. Now, I've done everything Dawn has done. I've hid in the bathroom. I've even gone to my car and pretended like I've forgotten something in there, sat in the car, had 2 conversations with somebody on my phone just to avoid going back. I've done that. That's true story. But now that we've left, the follow-up is so important because I know when people call me, sometimes I don't take the call because I don't remember who they are. I've been to a networking event. I get 10 phone calls. I'm like, who are these people calling me? So let's talk about the follow-up. How do you follow up and get results?
I recommend following up via email. And the reason I recommend that because of just what you just said is you see a phone call and you're like, who is this? And then when you answer the phone, you don't remember the person, and now you're irritated because you don't remember this person. You're in the middle of dinner with your family, and you're like, dude, seriously, I'm busy right now. I don't even know who you are. You don't say that, but, can I call you back? So what I recommend is to follow up via email, but it's imperative, and I can't stress this enough, it is imperative that you do that follow-up within 48 hours because you are still fresh in that person's mind. They're still fresh in yours, and you include in that email something personal that they said about themselves, which gives them the warm and fuzzies, and then you ask them, how can I be a resource to you? So you lead the conversation from there. If you don't hear from that person within a week or 2 weeks, follow up with another email. Short and sweet, hey, just wanted to let you know that I'm in your area, wanted to know if you wanted to get together for lunch. Again, if there's anything that I can do to be a resource to you or help you in any kind of way, let me know. You have to first seek how you can be a resource.
Is there a limit, Tammy, in terms of how many? I thought that was interesting what you said. I get the follow-up in 48 hours, but then, okay, so they didn't respond. You call them again in a week, and then you call them again. Is there a protocol in terms of, at some point you're stalking, or at some point?
So what I would do is I would follow up within a couple of weeks. If they don't respond to me initially, I'll follow up within a couple of weeks and with another email, and then maybe a phone call. And then if I don't get a response from that point, maybe a month or a couple months after that. And then after that, I would let it go because this person that you're trying to pursue is not in the business of building relationships if you have to stalk them like that.
That's good.
So most people that are in tune to business and realize that someone's reaching out to them, they're asking how they can be a resource, it's a common courtesy to at least, email them back. Even if it's, a week later. Hey, Bob, I've been traveling with my family. I'm just now getting through my emails. It was a pleasure to meet you as well. I do have an event coming up or a conference coming up. If you could share this information with your network, that would be awesome. And I would love to get together, and please let me know how I can be a resource to you. When I ask people how I can be a resource to them in an email, or I put something personal in the email, it's very rare that they don't respond to me. It has happened, but it's rare.
Good.
That's good stuff. Good stuff, folks. We are at the 8 o'clock hour. We're going to transition to our after call. But before we do that, Tammy, can you share with the listeners your website and how they can get your book, How to Talk to Strangers? I'm telling you, I love this book. I have had this book for a few years, and every time I'm reading it and I'm out, someone looks at it and they want to take my copy. And I'm like, oh, no, no, no. So I want to make sure that the listeners get access to you, Tammy. So share with us how they can reach you.
Sure, and I'll close here, Lynette, with this. Your network does determine your net worth, and if you're hanging around 9 broke people, I can guarantee you will be the 10th. So you need to examine your circle closely. Individuals that are interested in purchasing How to Talk to Strangers, a step-by-step guide to professional networking, can do so from Amazon, or they can do so from my website. My website is www.mytammyturner.com. That's www.mytammyturner.com. And if you purchase from my website, I will autograph it for you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you, Tammy. We're going to transition to our after call. 1 second.
I don't think.
Okay, well, we're going to just spend a few minutes on our after call just in the event that we have any of our listeners that want to ask Tammy a question. Tam, if you do want to chime in, you want to hit *6. Hit *6 to unmute your line, and you can join the conversation. But, Tammy, before we end the call for today, I wanted to talk about really quick body language. I know that when we are networking or when we're at workshops and things like that, our body language says a lot. And I remember, my mom, she would always encourage me. She said, Lynn, when you're out, you just want to make sure you smile. You want to be approachable. You don't want to have this non-approachable body language. So, and I noticed that is one of the key things that helps when you are trying to approach a person who, may be in the crowd or whatever. Their body language is showing that they're approachable. It makes it easier. So I just wanted you to kind of shed some light on body language and the importance of networking.
Body language is critical, Lynette, and thank you for bringing that up. 50% of your communication is being conveyed via your body language. So you really said a mouthful before you ever even had a chance to open your mouth. And years ago, I used to be the person in the back of the room with my Don't Talk to Me T-shirt. I had this scowl on my face because I was mad because I had to be at a networking event. I was afraid, and it showed in it showed in my face, in the way my arms were folded across my chest or hands on my hip. Everything about my body language said I didn't want to be there and don't come talk to me because I was terrified. So now I am very, very conscious of my body language, and I make a concentrated effort to make sure that my body language is inviting, that I'm smiling, that I'm approachable, that I'm friendly, I don't have my arms crossed. I don't appear to be standoffish, but it's a concentrated effort. I sometimes even forget now. And, I do workshops. My husband is in the back of the room telling me to straighten my eyebrows out because I look like I'm scowling. So it is very, very important as it relates to networking. And, again, it's 50% of your communication.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Do we have any of our listeners that are that want to chime in? I do see on the dashboard we have a 678 area code that is unmuted. If you would like to join the discussion, now is your time.
Good morning. This is Roxanne.
Hey, Roxanne.
Hey, Lynette, I thank you for asking about the body language. That was part of the question that I had as well. Before I go into my question, I would like to say I'm totally surprised about hearing that Jill and Dawn are terrified. That I find that hilarious. Hilarious. Jill is my cousin. Dawn I went to high school with, and this is not the people who I thought you were. So I'm so surprised to hear that. But that lets me know that you are just as human as I am. So sometimes I'm terrified as well, but I find that hilariously funny. I've been cracking up, so I missed some of what was said because I was laughing at you too. But Tammy, I have a question. You made a small mention of it, and I want you to go into it a little bit further if you can. When you said that your husband tells you to straighten up your eyebrows, and sometimes when we are intently listening to something or we're following along, our resting face looks as though we're upset. Have you ever tried to correct your resting face? Does that question make sense?
I try to correct it every day, at every moment, and especially when I'm doing presentations. That's a great question. And usually when I do events, my husband is with me, or I have other people there and they're taking photographs. And so I look through the photographs afterwards, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, that just looked mean. And I have my resting face, and I'm concentrating. I'm really one of the friendliest people I know, but I'm concentrating, but it looks like I'm scowling. So for me, it is a concentrated effort to make sure that I'm relaxing the muscles in my face and that I'm not scowling. And I always joke that I'm at the place now where I'm trying to straighten my eyebrows out all the time, and it makes my eyes real big, so now I just look surprised all the time. But I do make it a concentrated effort to do that. And, sometimes you don't realize that you have that look or your body language is displaying that until someone else brings it to your attention.
Okay, that's very true. I agree with that. That happens to me quite a bit. My son is always asking me, "Are you mad at me? Did I do something?" I'm like, "No." He was like, "Well, you're frowning." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't mean to." I said, "I'm just listening to you." And he was like, "Oh." He said, "It just looks like you're mad." I'm like, "No, I'm not." I said, "I'm listening." And just wanted to know how a person in your arena handles that. So thank you for that response.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Roxanne. Thanks for chiming in. I also see a 414 area code unmuted. You are up.
Good morning, ladies. This is Juanelle from Milwaukee. I have a question. Well, for me, I definitely struggle with being in a room with a lot of people. I can do a lot of one-on-ones with people and have a very effective conversation, but in a group of people, I shy away, and I will find one seat, and I'll stay in that seat until the end, till it's time to go home. I'm actually going to an event this weekend, networking event, so I want to step out my comfort zone in this area, so this is a perfect call for me. When you actually have a conversation with somebody, that dry area, like right after you get done complimenting them, possibly if that's how you want to introduce a conversation, that second step to engage in more of a conversation, how do you exit or how do you add more to that conversation to keep it interesting?
I would recommend asking questions. Ask them questions about themselves, and that way you get them to open up and talk, and that means less work for you. So you have to get them engaged and ask questions. And if you get to a place where you feel like you need to break away and end the conversation and you're struggling, the person's not responsive to you, you can simply do one of two things, and it really depends on your personality. The less aggressive approach is to excuse yourself and go to the ladies' room or the men's room. You know what, Tammy, it was a pleasure to meet you. I need to make a dash to a little girl's room. Let me get your business card, and I'll follow up with you in a couple of days. And that's a less aggressive approach, and no one's offended. If you find yourself, and you can use this if you find yourself stuck with someone who won't stop talking as well. The more aggressive approach is really to just say, you know, Tammy, it was a pleasure speaking to you. There are a couple other people here that I've been trying to get in contact with the last couple of weeks. I see them here this evening. I want to have a chance to connect with them before they leave. So let me exchange business cards with you, and I'll follow up within a couple of days. That's the more aggressive approach. Either approach will work. It just depends on your personality.
Thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. If we have I wanted to, before we end the call, I wanted to ask Jill and Michelle, you know what, our conversation is so timely. They actually have a networking event and a workshop this weekend. So, Michelle, why don't you talk about the event that you have coming up on Friday, and then, Jill, we want to talk about your event on Saturday. I think this is a good discussion, and it is so timely because I know that even, you know, no matter what situation you're in, a lot of times we just have those situations where we're just not comfortable. I know for myself, I have to force myself. I am forcing myself to sit down at a table where there may be one or two seats at a table, and I just force myself to sit and just make conversation. And a lot of times, I mean, you know, I'm like, you know what, Lynette, I'm constantly having a conversation as I'm walking to the seat. I'm going to do this because there's another table where it's just like one other person or maybe an empty seat. And so, you know, it's just a matter of just, like you said, getting out of your comfort zone and pushing yourself. So I'm just so glad that we're having this conversation. I'm so honored that you decided to come on the call with us this morning. And, Michelle, can you share a little bit of information about the upcoming event this weekend?
It will be my pleasure, Lynette. I am so excited for this coming Friday. I have the pleasure of partnering up with Jill Jordan Green. We came up with this idea. This won't be the last, but many, that we decided to just have an event where we could bring women that are, you know, operating in their level of expertise and women that are trying to get to that place of fulfilling out their purpose in the same room, talking about different things, talking about their what they what they do for a living, but also just talk from one woman to another. So the network event is called Women Networking After Work. It is Friday, June the 10th from 6:30 to 8:30. Of course, Jill and I, we will sponsor that, and from our different placement of Women of More and to Maximize Her Daily. It's in Wilmington, the flyer. I'll post on our page, but we're looking forward to it. You'll be able to see all type of women that are in corporate, real estate agents, entrepreneurs, bakers, fashion women, bloggers, writers, authors, you name it, will be there, and we did that strategically because we know that some of the women that are in business have different events. So there will be a room full of women that they can partner up with together. So I'm excited. There's still opportunity for you to register. It is a free event, and we're looking forward to being there.
Yes, super excited. And you know what? People always ask me, one day somebody said to me, Jill, you have such a diverse circle. When they meet the different people, I have at least 6 different circles with different types of people in it. And I challenge myself every year to add and enhance my circle. And how do you do that? By getting to events like the one that we're going to be hosting, which is a networking event on Friday, but also attending workshops like this. So I'll be hosting a workshop called Max Out on that Saturday. It's $20. It's in Chester, Pennsylvania. And maxing out is about pushing yourself to the limit. We often don't do that. We'll do it in spurts. We'll try hard for a second, but we're not going to coast the rest of the year. It's time to max out and get after those goals and dreams you had for this year, 2016. It's not too late. We're going to talk about writing a personal mission statement. We should have one. Companies do. Why don't you? We're going to talk about putting together your 12-month plan. Everybody should have one of those. And then we're going to talk about how to leverage a daily action tool that will help you bring all these things together. So I'm super excited. We do have limited seating, and we're almost done. Registration will close out today. And guess what? This is a place you can network, too. Tammy, I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the most powerful networking I've done has been at workshops like this. I've met other like-minded people who are trying to take their business, career, or their life to the next level. I've sat next to them. We've exchanged cards. And I've met people in places like this. So we're talking about the power of networking. You can do it at places like this, too. So super excited. So, Tammy, I'm glad that you came by today to talk to us. And I want to say one more thing, Lynette, before you close it out. I've been taking notes. I learned so much from Tammy today. And a question came up, well, how do you stand out? I was listening to Wanell, right, and she talked about how she's uncomfortable, like the rest of us, doesn't like doing it, like me and Dawn. But somebody impressed me one day. I was at a networking event, and there were quite a few people there that wanted my business card, that wanted to network with me. And I don't always remember everybody I talked to, I'm going to be honest. A young lady, actually, she Googled me. She found an article that was written on me for something, and she took the article, made a copy of it, and she mailed it to the address on my business card, right, which I thought was pretty cool. And there was a note with her picture on it that said, hey, I came across this article. I thought it was cool. Wanted to say congrats on your nomination, and wanted to say it was nice meeting you. I would have never, and I looked at my stack and realized I had her business card, Tammy. I would have never remembered her by name and business card only. But she took a step. She took that article, mailed it to me, attached her picture to it, and then she followed up with a phone call. And I ended up doing lunch with that young lady, all because she made an extra step. But sometimes, Tammy, too, and maybe this is the part two, we need to, stand out a little bit if there is somebody who we really want to make connections with. I'm done. Tammy, this is awesome. Thank you, lady.
Thank you. And that I love it. That is definitely something that you can do to make yourself stand out. And I encourage anyone that's going to a networking event to do your research ahead of time. If you know that there are specific people that are going to be there that you want to talk to, just like this young lady did with Jill, go Google them. Go to their website. Find out some information about them. I lived overseas. I lived in Cambodia for 3 years. If somebody walks up to me at a networking event and they say, hey, I had a chance to go to your website. I know that you lived in Cambodia for 3 years and you did this, that, and the other. Wow, can you tell me a little bit about that? I guarantee you I will remember that person. So just take the time to do the research. That's how you'll stand out.
Excellent.
Good stuff, good stuff. Well, thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, folks. This is Momentum Monday. Thanks to all the callers who participated in the after call and chimed in on our website. We are flat out of time. I am so excited. Don't forget to get How to Talk to Strangers. I would also say, you know, Tammy has a couple challenges, networking challenges in her book, so it's really a good tool, definitely a very valuable resource. Make sure if you are in the Chester, Pennsylvania area this weekend, Delaware area, make sure you are at those networking events. It will definitely change your life. I know it. What I want to do is unmute the lines, and I want all the callers to say, I am going to talk to strangers.
I'm going to
talk to strangers.
Talking to
I
strangers.
think I'm going to talk to strangers today.
Every day, all day.
Walk up to a stranger.
Strangers.
Yeah, but I'm going to talk to strangers. I'm going to talk to strangers today.
I'm going to talk